Good afternoon. Notice of a public meeting of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville pursuant to Chapter 551, Title 5 of the Texas Government Code. The Texas Open Meetings Act notice is hereby given that the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, in accordance with Article 5, Section 12 of the Charter of said city, will convene an executive session and a regular meeting on Tuesday, September 18, 2018, at 5 p.m. and at 6 p.m. in the Commission chambers on the second floor of Brownsville City Hall, Old Federal Building located at 1001 East Elizabeth Street, Brownsville, Cameron County, Texas. We will begin with executive sessions. Executive Session A, pursuant to the Texas Government Code, Section 551.074, Personal Matters, discussion of personal deliberations on appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, and dismissal, or to hear complaints against personnel. Interviews of candidates for city attorney position.
Mayor, I move we go into executive session.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Motion carries.
My bad.
I think that was in some sort of acapella.
I was distracted.
I was thinking there's nobody here sitting.
Everyone, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one indivisible.
Let's pray. Father God, we thank you for your love, your grace, and your mercy. And we thank you that according to your word, we all have a calling, whether that be ministry of your word or public servant or ministering to our families. Help each one of us, Lord, to walk worthy of the calling that you called us with. And Lord, I ask you to give our mayor and commissioners and every presenter wisdom tonight. Lead and guide them for the decisions facing Brownsville. In the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Next, we have action on Executive A, consideration and possible action to hire a city attorney. The names would be Lisa H. Bowling, Renee E. DeGos, Jerry Linen, Aaron Lian.
Based upon the time that we had, we did not have sufficient time to interview all of them. I would consider a motion to table this item for further review.
I'll move the table.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That's aye. There's only three.
Any opposed?
Anybody opposed?
Nay.
I'm voting nay.
Okay. Everybody else
May I
abstain?
have then roll call, please?
Well, if you wish. I mean, they just didn't vote.
Oh,
I'll move to call a vote by roll call.
Okay.
Aye.
Nay.
aye.
Aye.
Nay.
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 Okay. So we continue?
Yes.
But it's further on down the road, or is it going to have an action item right now, right?
Yes, well, that's the,
Counselor?
do it.
There would need to be another motion. That motion was to table.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it didn't,
But it was
didn't
when
pass.
Matt-
There would be another motion by another.
I don't know how we can do this without interviewing all the applicants.
Do we have another motion on the table?
There is no motion on the table.
I move to table this item.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We haven't finished.
I just want to go on record. I did have time to interview everybody. I came in on Friday and I did.
we're stalemated here right now. Counselor?
Right, there needs to be a
Can
motion
we-
either to no action or action.
Well, we're actually at a standstill here, so can we go on to the next item?
Can I make a motion to go ahead and select our attorney?
I don't know how you can without having to finish the interviews. We didn't have a chance as a body.
We haven't even finished the vote on my motion. We have 3 ayes, a nay, and we don't have three
Nay.
other votes.
I just don't understand how this commission can act without having talked to everyone that was applying and had an opportunity to do so. I think that's highly unfair and totally inappropriate.
I would agree with you, Mayor.
I just want to go on the record also saying that, there's been a selection committee for city manager, and a first round of applicants were also, and there was one person who I still don't understand how she wasn't even considered for the first round. So I just want to say that it hasn't been the first time that this commission would move on things when not all of us have been on board or all of us have had an opportunity to meet with people, for the record.
I would like to go on the record as well to note to the public that without a city attorney in position here at the city, that our legal bill is over $100,000. And I feel that it is my due diligence to my constituents and the public that a decision is made and a full-time attorney for the city commission is in place to protect public dollars. And I'm sorry if anybody ever judges me for it, but I stand my ground and I defend my constituents and their tax dollars.
I'd like to make a public comment as well.
Okay, Counselor, this is an action item, and we open it up and we're not,
Right, there either needs to be a motion to take action or no action.
well, the problem that I have, Counselor, is that we haven't had a chance to visit with all the applicants. That's my problem, and we were asked to be here at 5 o'clock to interview some. We got through most of one, and then we got through one and most of the other ones, but the other 2 have requested to be also interviewed. And again, my suggestion is that if we could table this until October the 2nd or the next meeting, it's a matter of 2 weeks.
Now, let me ask, are we going to allow for more applicants? Or are you guys going to close the applicants? Because we had agreed for 30 days, then technically up to, I think, last Friday, it was still open, so people were applying as we went along. So now my concern is that we table it, we get more applicants, and how is that fair to the current applicants?
I don't know what the law is.
Counselor, I have a question. Is the 4th applicant here? And is there a way that we could go back into executive session to meet with them?
I think we were advised by an applicant that was only available by telephone.
Correct.
Second one was an applicant that could not be here because that's a city attorney in another city, and they're having meetings presently.
May I have the floor, Mayor?
Go ahead.
Yes.
Okay.
Counselor says okay.
All right, I feel it's my duty to make these comments. The citizens of Brownsville, and my constituents in particular, are entitled to know how this process, the attorney selection process, transpired. So in the interest of transparency and accountability, I'm going to state the following. First, since no one else has, I'd like to thank the following members of the Attorney Selection Committee for the time and effort they put in to assist the City of Brownsville in finding a suitable city attorney. That's Judge Felix Recio, Judge Phil Bellamy, Ms. Katie Euchre, Ms. Erin Gomez, Mr. Jaime Diaz, Mr. Aaron Rendon, and Mr. Guy Huddleston. The other members were myself, Commissioner Jessica Tetro, and the chairman of the committee was Commissioner Cesar De Leon. The former city attorney was terminated on August 14th of 2017. Mr. De Leon was charged with constituting the committee on October 26th of 2017. It wasn't until April 16th that Commissioner De Leon constituted the committee. The first meeting was April 24th, and initial parameters were discussed. However, there were only 6 meetings in all that were scheduled. 2 of those meetings were canceled, and 3 of the meetings were not attended by the chairman, Mr. De Leon. Commissioner Tetro didn't attend a single meeting. The committee studied 3 models for attorney services whether to get an outside counsel, in-house counsel, or a separate commission attorney and staff legal services, and the committee input on these matters was disregarded. The committee studied the city charter and ordinances to determine the framework for hiring under each model, and the committee input was again disregarded. The committee studied the city attorney job description for revision, and the committee input was disregarded. Instead, our chairman used a previous job description and posted the job opening locally without assistance from the selection consultants that had been hired to help with this. The committee was not allowed to review the job application submitted. The committee was not allowed to participate in the applicant interviews. The committee was not allowed to participate in formulating the fee structure. The committee was not allowed to assist in formulating the terms of the employment contract. The selection consultants, Ralph Anderson and Associates, did not participate in any way in the process other than an initial discussion regarding which model to use. They were supposed to help gather qualified applicants from throughout the state of Texas, were never engaged by the chairman. They, in due course, sent a termination letter recently which stated, as the city attorney search task force is progressing in the search effort without assistance of Ralph Anderson and Associates, we wish to terminate the professional services agreement. Unilateral action by Commissioner De Leon resulted in that only 5 applicants, one of which was an unlicensed law graduate, were all that were needed. They were all that were considered. Even though Anderson and Associates were hired to assist with recruitment efforts but never engaged. The search committee would be ignored in the process. The terms of the employment agreement, including the salary, whether there would be outside employment permitted, what the car allowance was, and the rest of the terms regarding termination for cause were not even presented to the committee. So, and as a result, this item got rushed onto the agenda tonight. So, another thing is there's been no provision with the city management or staff regarding if the budget is even available for this hiring. So, as far as transparency and accountability to the citizens of the community, this whole selection process has become a farce, and it's being manipulated by the chairman of the committee. Not even a courtesy letter thanking the members of this attorney selection committee was sent after all of the hard work put into the process by them, including working on their own time on the job description, since the chairman lacked the professionalism and competence to run the committee properly. The chairman then sent a letter to the commission on September 11th invoking the tragedy of September 11th to justify his actions. In the letter, he tried to cast aspersions on the city manager selection process, claiming that many citizens felt a shroud of secrecy regarding the process and that there was a lack of professionalism, as if this had anything to do with our committee. He also implies that it was somehow the committee's fault that there were an inadequate number of meetings, even though he was the chairman and had full control over the meetings and agendas. This process could have served the citizens of Brownsville to obtain quality legal services, but instead, it has been hijacked and corrupted, and I want the citizens to know this. I yield the floor.
May I have the floor, Mayor, to respond? I'd like to start with the city charter. The city charter lays out two jobs that we have as commissioners. One, to appoint a city manager, which we failed to do since Mr. Cavler retired, and secondly, to appoint a city attorney, which has been over a year. And it is, Commissioner Neese is correct in the sense that since October, I was appointed. But at that point, we were actually going through a hiring with our EDC director. Our EDC director was, we went through a selection process with a consulting company out of Seattle, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have prepared remarks. I'm going off by what was said in these prepared remarks, and I'm responding. We went through a 10-month period. We went through about 25 candidates. We narrowed it down. We went through a couple of rounds of interviews, and even then, some of the members of this commission sued me. Now, I do want to address, and that is why there's been a chilling effect when it comes to hiring people at the city. Nobody wants to work with us. The other issue we've had is a job description. I did not prepare the job description. That was done through our HR department. The application was also done by the HR department because they are the ones that know the law and they know the correct procedure when hiring. I am not an expert in hiring people. That is why we had Ms. Laura Hernandez from the city manager's office actually coordinating this. Secondly, I have not taken unilateral action to do any of these things or cancel any of the meetings or close the application. That was actually done by the city manager, who I wish was here so he could actually respond to this. The other question that was also mentioned is that I unilaterally did not actually put this in any publication. That is a total lie. The city manager and the human resource specialist put it through Texas Municipal League, they put it through the bar, they put it in the local papers, and the application period was open for 45 days. The reason we put it here is because I wanted to avoid this issue in particular, because at one point I was sued by some of the members of this commission saying that I was not transparent in my actions. I was very transparent. We went through a consulting company and everything was done according to the color of law. The reason why I put this item today is because I wanted to avoid this issue. We go back and forth where people sometimes are in the minority and they want to push things. There's a feeling amongst the commission that everything wants to be pushed till after the election in May. We have 2 vacancies which we need to fulfill. I am not saying, and I never said we should take action or no action. I said we should discuss it. And at this point, I guess I am still where we were. There's an impasse. Basically, the commission is stuck. We're not moving forward, but in the meantime, the citizens keep suffering. So I am tired of personal attacks. I am tired of everybody always blaming me when I had nothing to do with this. I have actually just tried to be as transparent as possible in my dealings, and I actually tried to put a committee together. We tried to go, and I will tell you, halfway through our selection committee in GBIC, that's when we got sued, and that's why this fell through the wayside. And I've told the mayor we should have a committee comprised of commissioners. We should have a committee. If we want to invite outside members of the public, we should. But the thing is, how do I avoid now being sued by other members? So that created a chilling effect, and I guess that's why I stopped going to the meetings. Because
Okay,
There's
no,
a
no,
member
no,
of the
wait a
committee
minute, wait a
that would
minute.
like to
wait,
address the
wait.
commission.
Wait, okay, just a second. I do recognize that there's some committee members here. However, we can be here at, forever, and I think in Robert's Rules of Order, we're out of bounds.
I would like to make a motion, if that would be okay with you.
I think we've had response, or at least, Counselor, I'm having to
The second motion that was made, I don't know if that had concluded or not.
I think that we can address the media or whoever wants to address. This is why I said I think that we could avoid this if we would table it. You can close down the nomination process or the application process, Counselor, if that's within the realm of the law, and get a chance to visit with these people and make a selection. That's all I'm saying. I don't know.
Yes, the commission can do that if they'd like
Okay.
to. They can take no action, but I believe there was a motion on the floor still.
There is a motion on the floor. It's got to do with the motion, whether to table it. Correct? Is that what it is? I lost track. Okay. And these things are going to happen. People have to express their opinions, and I'd like to be able to give everybody all the time in the world. I know Commissioner Tetro, if you'd like to say a few words.
I was just going to make a motion. I just feel like my constituents elected me to make decisions when they need me, and I, did review some of the candidates. Some of the candidates are not available to see me right now, and I'm in this situation where it can drag on for months. We can continue fighting about it and put our differences aside. But the truth is, we're all here because we love the city of Brownsville, and we're all here because we would give everything we have, including our reputation. I know that I speak on behalf of my family and everything that I am, every fiber of my being. I love the city of Brownsville, and that's why I'm here.
Would you be considering if we put it off till the October the 2nd?
I would like to make a motion. I would like to make a motion as soon as this other motion is done. Maybe we can have a roll call to distinguish what
Mayor, will you allow committee members to speak?
I don't
This is
think
an
I
action
don't
item.
think that would be allowable at this particular point, to be
I
honest with you.
just ask that this meeting get back on track and we focus on the city that we all are here because we love.
That's what I'm saying is that, Counselor, I'm going to keep leaning on you because it seems that there ought to be some sort of reasoning if we can have a chance to visit with the other applicants before we make a decision, I would really
This
ask.
public spillage is not what our constituents deserve, so I
Okay.
just would like to make the motion.
Okay. Where were we, Counselor?
There can be a motion to take no action until the conclusion of the remaining interviews.
Okay, would someone move to that effect? Not take any
I
action?
move to that effect.
Okay, is there a second?
I'm going to second that because personally, I would like to meet all of the candidates.
Can we have a vote on that? All those
Aye.
in favor say aye, so we can get a chance to vote.
Nay.
So we can talk to all the applicants and set it for October the 2nd?
I'd be in agreement to October the 2nd,
Okay,
but no more. In
okay,
other words, we need to get schedules together, we need to have hours together, and I think that I'd like to get together with the chair and bring up a couple of points as far as, God, I don't even want to say this because it's
Well,
not
what-
fair for me to
There's no
continue to
more
bring it up.
committee.
I've been,
No chair.
okay, but basically you're saying you're agreeing to October the 2nd, and we can work out the rest of the details among ourselves, but that the applications be closed, okay?
applications will remain closed, and we will hold a final interview on October 2nd.
Okay. Is everybody in agreement with that?
Is that your motion?
That's his motion.
I withdraw my motion then.
Okay, that's his motion. Do we have a second on that one? Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
And I would like to apologize for what the public just saw. Each one of us is here because we love you more than you could ever imagine, and we're just here to do right by you, but sometimes we have people that don't agree with us, and sometimes they like to put pressure on us in this way.
Well, democracy's messy, but that's what we got, and it's a good system. The next thing is the mayor's activity report or update, and I have none right now. The next one would be commissioner's activity update.
Mayor's activity update, and then Commissioner's activity update. Does anyone,
I did my report yesterday.
Yeah, we've had so many meetings, I think we've updated ourselves out of the, out of the picture here. City
and we have
manager's
City
update?
Manager's update?
Yeah, the only thing that we have on the city manager is that the city manager has appointed Commander Pasquale as the interim police chief, and he's also recognized acknowledged the retirement letter from our ex-police chief, Orlando Rodriguez.
Okay.
And that's what we have.
Congratulations, James.
Congratulations.
Next, we have consent agenda items A through M.
Want to approve?
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, guys.
Next, we'll go into our public hearings. Public hearing number 5, public hearing in action on first reading to repeal ordinance number 2017-1629, Youth Advisory Council.
Mayor, Commissioners, about a year ago, we started the Youth Advisory Council by passing an ordinance and making it an official board. At the time, I did say that we were going to pilot it and see if we had to adjust it. It does still remain a program. It is a program of the City Manager's Office, and we do have a new class of candidates, but we want to treat it as that. We want to treat it as a program and not necessarily have all the restrictions of an official board and everything that comes with that. So that's what this ordinance is doing, is just repealing that, and we are saving the program, but it's just a program of the City Manager's Office.
I would move,
I think it's public hearing, but
Ramiro, I want to ask you, if you change the program, could we change the name to the program to Jose Antonio Telles?
Sure.
In his honor.
Absolutely,
Escobedo
that's
Telles?
a good idea, Commissioner.
Escobedo Telles, if
That's
I'm
a
not
great idea.
mistaken. So,
Yeah.
but I don't know if you can take care of that, but that would be wonderful. We could name the youth council in his honor.
I completely
great.
agree. We'll
That's a great
Make it
idea.
happen, yeah.
anyway, anyone else here on this, or any other comments on public hearing? If
Want to
not,
close public hearing?
Second?
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Want to approve with the addendum?
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Public hearing number 6, public hearing and action on first reading on ordinance number 235-2018-024-S to allow freight terminal, a medium commercial use in general retail Z for 1.45 acres of land, more or less out of southwest portion of a certain 5.0 acre tract out of Tract T, Share 12, Espiritu Santo Grant located at 7291 North Expressway 77.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Commissioners. This is 1.45 acres. They are asking for a specific use permit to allow a freight terminal. This is fronting on the expressway. To the north of the property, there are commercial businesses, single-family dwelling. To the west, there's undeveloped land and commercial businesses. And to the south, there's single-family dwelling and commercial businesses. To the east, there's undeveloped land, single-family dwelling, and commercial businesses. Here's the zoning map. Along the expressway, it is mostly general retail 4C. To the west of the property, it is outside of city limits. There were 11 mailouts and 0 written opposition. Here is the site plan. This request is consistent with the comprehensive plan and future land use plan, and the Planning and Zoning Commission supports the specific use permit to allow a freight terminal in general retail Z, 4CZ, with the condition that the property must comply with all city codes and regulations as determined through the site plan review process.
Okay. Public hearing. Anyone here on this issue? Any comments from the commission? If not, I'll entertain a motion to close.
Move to close public hearing.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I'm going to approve.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 7.
Public hearing number 7, public hearing and action on first read on ordinance number 235-2018-039 to rezone from dwelling A to dwelling G for Lot 12, Block 40, East Brownsville, 4th Section, located at 3125 East 26th Street.
This property is 0.1377 of an acre. It's currently zoned dwelling A. They're asking that be changed to dwelling G. The purpose is to have a carport. North of the property, there's single-family dwelling, commercial business. To the south, east, and west, there are single-family dwelling. Here's the zoning map. Most of this area is zoned dwelling. However, along southmost, it is general retail 4C, and there is some zoning mixed in. There were 36 mailouts and 0 written opposition in this case. This request is consistent with the comprehensive plan and the future land use plan, and the Planning and Zoning Commission supports this rezoning from dwelling A, DA, to dwelling G, DG.
Is it really necessary to bring a carport to the city commission and make the applicant pay to come to us? Isn't there something that can be worked out within the office?
There are, where they're proposing to put the carport, which is the only area really allowable, is within the front setback. Their current front setback does not allow a carport to encroach on it. However, G does allow carports within the front setback. So they do need to rezone their area district to have a carport where they would like it.
Can we take a look at that? I'd like you guys to study a little bit. But anyway, this is a public hearing. Anyone here on this issue? If now, entertain a
Motion
motion.
to close public hearing?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I'm going to approve.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Public hearing number 8, public hearing and action on first read on ordinance number 235-2018-040 to rezone from dwelling A to dwelling F for Lot 32, Block 6, Garden Park subdivision, in addition to the city of Brownsville located at 105 Park Street.
This property is 0.2224 of an acre. It's currently zoned dwelling A, and they're asking for dwelling F. There is a home constructed. It's hard to see on this map, but it is in the rear of the property. The current area district it has a larger rear setback, 25 feet, and it is encroaching on that. What they're asking for, which is area district F, will not have that large of a setback. To the north, south, east, and west are single-family dwellings, as well as to the south there is some commercial business. Here's the zoning map. Most of this area is dwelling. However, along Military Highway, it is zoned general retail. There were 30 mailouts and 0 written opposition in this case. The request is consistent with the comprehensive plan and future land use plan. The Planning and Zoning Commission supports this rezoning from dwelling A to dwelling F.
Public hearing, anyone here on this issue? Uh-oh, it's the pastor.
Again, carport, a house is already there, trying to comply. Aren't we getting a little bit overly,
Regulatory?
yes, thank you, overly regulatory? I mean, they have to come here to get approval for a house that's already there? I mean, that's my input. And they had to pay to do it, am I not mistaken?
Correct.
Okay. I just,
Thank you. Anyone else?
Mayor, I think that somewhere in here, we need to have a meeting with the department, with its head, because this is, I realize that you get the phone calls. I realize that you all are the first people to deal with them. The amount of phone calls that we're getting for these kinds of things, and I understand that we want to make everybody comply, that we want to make everybody be, but there's just some issues where, you're the planning people, and yet I'm finding, and wait a minute, there is a way that we can work with it. Times are tough, and we're making people come in and pay to go to P&Z, and it takes them a month, and we've got people holding up, and, I just think that there's a better way that this can be handled.
No, just a second.
I'm done.
No. Joe, just a second. This is public hearing, and Connie, just a second. Can we hold up just a minute? Yeah, no, we'll let you. He had his hand raised up first, but is there something that you wish to talk to us, Joe?
Please state your name.
My name is Jolie Rubio, and I believe there is a way that they can get this thing done in-house. There's such a thing as called a city-initiated rezoning that the department can use to make these people, put these people in compliance, and they can waive fees and do stuff like that. That way they don't have to come to you all for these petty little rezonings for carports and stuff like that.
Thank you, Joe.
I just found out about it recently because I have a client that needs to come and rezone because of an existing condition, and it's kind of ridiculous.
Okay.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Connie.
So currently, the only mechanisms to comply with these things would be either through you guys, through a rezone that needs to come to city commission, even if it was a city initiated, and the other mechanism is through the Board of Adjustment that would require a variance. And that's the only two mechanisms that we have in place. We will be happy to look and see if there's any other ways.
What I would suggest to you, Connie, is to take a look at something a little different, and maybe I know he gets the phone calls, and so maybe if you could report directly to Commissioner Longoria.
Absolutely.
Because there are, again, I think this is an issue that creeps up every so often. Without a variance, you can do some things that say, without paying fees, that they're more administrative than they are. I think the difference is we're not making decisions based upon some sort of discretion. We're just doing an administrative task that could be done at a different level.
We could look at the opportunity to make some changes to the current ordinances.
If we need to amend an ordinance, then we should present it to us.
Yeah, let's take a look
Make
at
it
that,
easy.
okay? Right now, that's item
And if
number,
at all possible, take them to Board of Adjustments, because that's gonna save them having to go through all of this. I just don't want people paying out of their pockets.
There's still a cost associated with the Board of Adjustment.
yeah, the Board of Adjustment also has a fee. I've looked at that. So I think it's a matter of an administrative remedy as opposed to having to do.
What are the fees?
For the Board of Adjustment, $250 per
And for
variance.
this?
It's based on the acreage and the intended use, so the cost is lower for single families.
Anyway, this is public hearing. We have any more comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion to close.
Close public hearing?
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I'm going to abstain because I didn't see what that was about.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
Would you approve?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Please note that I abstained.
Okay.
Next, we have public hearing number 9, public hearing and action on first reading on ordinance number 235-2018-041 to rezone from dwelling A to dwelling G for Lot 10, Block 29, East Brownsville Addition, 3rd Section, located at 354 Hortensia Boulevard.
This property is 0.172 of an acre. It is zoned dwelling A, and they're asking to be rezoned to dwelling G in order to construct a duplex at the location. Around this neighborhood, it's mostly comprised of single-family dwellings. This is the same area as one of the previous rezoning cases. It is mostly dwelling. There were 30 mailouts and 0 written opposition. The request is consistent with the comprehensive plan and future land use plan, and the Planning and Zoning Commission supports this rezoning from dwelling A to dwelling G.
Mayor, there's nobody here. I'd move to close public hearing.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I'd also move to approve.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 10.
Public hearing number 10, public hearing and action on first reading on ordinance number 235-2018-042 to rezone from dwelling A to general retail G for Lot 24, Block 5, Milpa Verde subdivision, Section 3, in addition to the city of Brownsville located at 2704 Elena Street.
This property is 0.18 of an acre. It's currently zoned dwelling A, and they're asking it to be rezoned to general retail 4C. To the north, there is a single-family subdivision, as well as to the west. To the east, there's single-family dwelling, civic institution, and commercial businesses. To the south, there's undeveloped land, single-family dwelling, and commercial businesses. This is along East Avenue. That's not going to work. It's fronting East Avenue.
Is anyone here on this issue?
Good job, Joe de la Fuente. Finally got somebody there.
Yeah.
Motion to close public hearing?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Move to approve.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, guys.
Next, we have public hearing number 11, public hearing and action on first reading on ordinance number 235-2018-043-CO to rezone from dwelling Z to medium retail Z for Lot 1, Block 1, San Juana subdivision located at 8028 East Ruben Torres.
This property is 0.49 acres. It is undeveloped currently. North of it, there is single-family dwelling. To the east and to the west and to the south, there are commercial businesses and single-family dwelling. This property, as well as the property, the subdivision to the north, are currently zoned dwelling. This has been recently annexed into the city just this past year. The white is in our ETJ.
Welcome to the city. Motion to, go ahead.
There is, at this Planning and Zoning Commission, there was a citizen, a neighbor, an abutting neighbor who was concerned. However, the Planning and Zoning Commission approved a CO, a conditional overlay for this property to require a minimum of a 6-foot privacy fence along the west property line, which is the abutting property owner. Since then, I have met with the developer as well as the concerned citizen, and they've agreed on a type of fence.
So the citizen did agree that that was okay?
Yes.
Now they're in
They did not
favor.
have a problem with the commercial use of the property. They just wanted to make sure there was a residential style fence between them.
Private, yeah.
Anyone here on this issue? Yes, ma'am. Please step forward.
Please state your name.
Good evening. My name is Esmeralda Rodriguez, and I'm going to be a neighbor of the tortilleria. I just want to make sure this dwelling is going to be a new dwelling, not something that's going to be put in there because of the rottenness, stuff like that. And also, I want to make sure this has a beautification. It is very important. I also want to make sure this facility has an asphalt, which is no caliche. Because at the moment, there's a truck place down the road and has caliche, and all the street is all, at this moment, it's all messed up. So I don't want that next to me. Also, the fence, there's an existing fence at the moment. I just want to make sure, like Mr. Garcia said, that we want a 6-foot fence for privacy, but I want it, from the start of the street all the way to the back. And my concern is our taxes gonna go up? Who can answer that?
They go up every year, thanks to the county.
Well, right now, we're county, but is the city gonna go into?
Not from us.
No.
Not on your property value.
Because
but
at the
that's-
moment, I'm paying
That's Cameron County Appraisal District.
$2,400 with this dwelling next to us. I don't know if it's gonna go up.
Ma'am, the way it works is the Cameron County Appraisal District decides on what the property values are. And
Yes,
then
I
that
already
would-
I already went through that.
Exactly. So there's a complaint that goes to San Benito, not necessarily, we can hear you out here, but those complaints go to San Benito de Frutoso and company over there from the county. of San
So
Benito.
how do I know if this is gonna be a new dwelling?
Did they submit their plans? Do you have,
I don't
or
want-
they're just changing the overlay? So, yeah.
It's just a rezoning, not a specific use, so we don't have the plans. They're not required to submit them. However, if you have the notice letter that was mailed to you,
Yes, I do have it.
there is the contact number for the Cameron County Appraisal District on it.
Okay.
You can call them and set up an appointment or ask a question over the phone.
Okay. So is this gonna be approved, this tortilleria business, or?
Well, we're going to have to vote, so we can't tell you ahead of time.
Oh, okay.
The public hearing is to give us your intake into it, and then from the lawyer's standpoint, we have to make sure it's a motion, and it's got to either be passed or not passed.
So I can tell you that now that one little strip, that property is annexed into the city of Brownsville. The city of Brownsville has very strict guidelines that we impose on our businesses. So they would be required to meet not only with all building structure codes, but they would also be required to health and safety, everything like that. So they would not be able to operate if it was, a building that was unsafe or brought in from somewhere and on stilts, or it would have to be up to very strict code that the city of Brownsville follows.
So right now, the annex, it's up to the tortilleria?
Can you show her the map?
Just here. So this is your property, ma'am, right?
Yes.
And so it's not within city limits, it's only this property.
I know, because across the street is city limits, and across from where my home is, it's not city limits, we're still county. But, it seems to be little by little, it's coming in, because now we have PUB sewage, which is fine, but, it's a concern. So then I have to go through the phone call to make sure the facility is gonna be a new facility and something that's gonna.
So your concerns here, the beautification, they were, because it's a new development, we're gonna require a certain amount of landscaping. We're also gonna require paving up to
Yes.
code, so there won't be caliche that's allowed. So these are all concerns that will be addressed through the permitting process.
Okay.
The city has very strict rules for new businesses. You can't just go into an old home
I
and,
think that it's 20% of beautification. Am I correct?
what, I'm sorry, what's that?
10%
10%.
landscape?
10% landscaping, so they would have to do grass and trees or flowers, things like that. Then they already agreed that they would do the privacy fence between your home and theirs. But I should note that all of the white part is the ETJ, so that is future area that could potentially be annexed into the city. So at this time, you're still county, but they will be following to all of the codes and concerns that you had. Definitely the fact that it is part city is going to make sure that, that they have to follow all of our building codes. They're like how you were worried that it's going to be caliche. The city has a very strict rule in place that we don't allow that. It's going to have to be paved asphalt. And 10% of it will be landscaped. And the building, whatever structure they put there, will have to be, will be brand new and up to code. Yeah. So it will be inspected, and all of that will go through before they get their occupancy and licenses to conduct business. So you can rest assured that our permitting department will make sure and stay on top of it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And if you have any concerns, you can always come back and reach out to us. Thank you.
Okay. Any other public comments? Entertain a motion to close.
public comment.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I'd like to
Motion to approve.
with the recommendations of the Planning and Zoning Board.
Okay. Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next, we have public hearing number 12, public hearing in action to authorize the City of Brownsville Police Department to apply for the fiscal year 2018 Edward Bryan Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Program application number 208-8 H3331-TX-DJ in the amount of $53,452.
Mayor, City Commission, this item is to request authority from the City Commission to apply for the Justice Assistance Grant. This is a JAG grant. We've been receiving these since 2006. Again, this amount is for $53,452. It splits between us and Cameron County. Based on crime data, we get $37,986, and Cameron County gets $15,466.
Is there a motion? I mean, there's a public hearing, I'm sorry.
Public.
I have,
Motion to close public hearing.
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next, we have the public comment period. We did have one person signed up for the public comment, Ms. Catherine Yoker.
Okay, now, Counselor, this is, it's regarding transparency in city-appointed committees. Katie, I think it'd have to be in general, because we've talked about committees already in discussion of one of the items. So it can't be about the committee that we.
In general, right,
Okay.
public comment in
Yes,
general.
yes, thank
Okay.
you. My name is Catherine Euchre, and I intend to address my comments generally and respect the rules of this body. I did prepare some specific comments, written comments, that I'd like to provide, and I will provide to each of you, and I hope that you will consider those. I'll also make those available to any member of the public or the media that would like to know about my experiences serving on a city-appointed committee, because my services reflect a total, my experience showed me a total lack of transparency and was a deeply, deeply concerning experience. So I do think the public needs to know what actually happened and the facts. So I will provide those to anyone who's interested. And further, I would just like to say that cutting short an open process in order to avoid being sued does not make any sense. It's the open process that would shield one or help someone avoid needless litigation. So I don't understand and that kind of explanation. My experience and what resulted was not because of any inaction on the part of our committee, but rather the actions of the committee were thwarted and a substitute action was taken. I have nothing further to say with regard to my general comments, but like I said, I will provide a copy of my written comments to each of you and anyone who's interested in receiving a copy. Thank you.
We thank you for your comments, and we thank you for your service. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it for public comment. Item number 14 and 15 would be taken care of by that first item, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you go to item number 16.
We'll go to item number 16. For the record, we will remove item 14 and 15 and bring it back in October. Action item number 16, consideration and action on resolution number 2018-043, accepting a donation for public purposes of 43.97 acres of real property from the University Park Development LTD located approximately on South Palm Boulevard in the Amigo Land Section 2 subdivision and dealing with related matters.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Commission. The city recommends that we accept this donation of land.
Motion to approve.
I have a question for
Yes, sir.
you. Who contacted you about this gift?
Originally, this was through the Koppel family, and that's my knowledge and understanding, and I've met with Mr. Koppel before he passed originally, and I don't know if that has changed through the Secretary's office or not.
Was it Mr. Lopez who placed it on the agenda, or was it you, ma'am?
I believe it was Mr. Lopez, but I'm not sure.
because I asked him and he said he was told to place it on there. So I'm trying to figure out who placed it on there.
I did not submit the agenda
Okay,
item. I'm presenting the agenda item. That's all I know.
Okay.
I do have a comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
The donation of this land by the Koppel family goes back over 10 years. When my husband was on the Parks Board, they were talking about, Mr. Koppel had contacted the Parks Board even back then. So it's not a new thing.
This is TERS number 2. This land is TERS number 2. So does that, by him donating, does that remove any and all clauses that were on there because of TERS number 2?
I don't think she's prepared. Here's, at least my.
I dealt with Raleigh Koppel on this because I was on the committee for the tax increment.
He's long gone.
No, I know that. I realize
Unless you have some sort of powers that I don't know about.
No. My only concern on this is because this was a tax increment reinvestment zone. Is it free and clear to the city so that we can build a park? Or are there Raleigh Koppel,
No.
gotchas on it?
No. And I've looked at the deed. There is no, it doesn't have a specific deal.
Yeah, see, I haven't seen the,
Yeah, I spoke to a city staff member who had concerns, and I have not received any answers to any questions.
I'm fine with the donation.
Yeah.
I'm just, my only concern is, because it was a tax increment reinvestment zone land, that if it's coming to the city, that it be free and clear.
Yeah, it is free and clear. I mean, we've checked it through the title policy. That part I can attest to.
I do remember Skip Keller, who you know, of course, and Mr. Koppel and the Parks Board at that time, specifically talking about it coming to the city for creation of a park. I do remember that. Now, why it took them so long to do that, I don't know.
It doesn't have it in the deed.
Well, I mean, that was a long time ago.
Yeah. Okay, is there a
So
motion?
there's a direct representation that it's a gift free and clear to the city of Brownsville.
I have not read any documentation, but my understanding is that, yes, from what I've been told, there is no stipulations on the land donation.
And we don't have to do anything if we want to wait 20 years to build the park there. We can wait 20 years to build a park there.
But I don't.
I would like to wait to see documentation before making a decision on something like this, because it is on the TERS number 2. And I just want to make sure for my references that it is clear and free without any obligation.
Okay.
But that's me. It's up to the commission.
Okay. There are, the deed came with no restrictions.
No, the deed was not provided, no documentation was provided to me, so I can't say yes or no as to what
One of
the
the city
specifics are.
manager has reviewed it, and apparently he was satisfied with it.
Well, no, I've looked at it. There is no restrictions, okay? But anyway, is there a motion to approve or?
I'll move to approve.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Nay,
I'm voting nay, because,
I just want to
again,
see the deed.
yeah, again,
I'll get
we
you-
talk about transparency, but it's very one-sided.
Okay.
So we have 2 nays.
Who knows?
2 nays and 4 ayes, okay? 1 abstention. I mean, did you vote yes or no?
I'll take.
Yes? Okay, so that's all fine.
Yes.
And it is with the title policy, and get a copy to everyone here in the commission, okay?
That's all it wasn't a vote against a park,
That's
never.
okay.
I just want to see the deed.
We'll provide that documentation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Item number 17.
Action item number 17, consideration and action to authorize the city manager to execute and enter into a memorandum of understanding agreement with the Lower Rio Grande Valley Development Council, Valley Metro, and the City of Brownsville, Brownsville Metro in the operation of the Metro Connect intercity service.
Good evening, Mayor and City Commissioners. RJ Garza with B Metro, for the record. Since the implementation of the Metro Connect service, this successful service has impacted many lives of those seeking to travel throughout the Lower Rio Grande Valley region. The service began back in November of 2013 in partnership with the City of McAllen and the City of South Padre Island, serving more than 150,000 passengers annually. We're very proud of this system. In the spirit of continuing and enhancing this successful service, Effective January 1, 2019, Valley Metro will become the lead agency for this program under a new name, RGV Metro, which will enhance the services further by partnering with UTRGV. I'd like to thank Mr. Tom Logan, he's the director of Valley Metro, who's sitting here in the audience, for attending this meeting. Welcome back. Before you today is an agreement between the City of Brownsville and Brownsville Metro and the Lower Rio Grande Valley Development Council, Valley Metro, for the next 3 months, October through December, during the transitioning period. This agreement allows Valley Metro to become a partner with B Metro, along with the cities of McAllen and South Padre Island. Valley Metro will provide transit operators for the next 3 months and will be reimbursed for their expenses through ICB 2017 Intercity Bus Program grant funds. Brownsville Metro recommends your approval for the city manager to execute this agreement upon Lower Rio Grande Valley Development Council, Valley Metro to also execute of this agreement.
Okay, and Tom, thank you for being here, and Norma and everybody else associated with this effort. I know for a fact these guys have been meeting regularly, putting their differences together and trying to figure out how to do regionally what we've been looking at for a long time. So my kudos to you guys for getting this where it's at today. Thank you. Okay, now this is an action item.
Motion to approve.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Action item number 18, consideration action to approve the City of Brownsville Metro updated abbreviated Equal Employment Opportunity Program as required and mandated by the Federal Transit Administration, FTAC 4704.18.
This is a federal mandate by the FTA. This plan is an updated equal employment opportunity program, and is a firm commitment by the City of Brownsville to implement the provisions of this program outlined within. Since 1977, the Department of Transportation has required recipients of transit funding meeting certain criteria to establish equal employment opportunity programs and to comply with applicable laws and regulations. The City of Brownsville, along with Brownsville Metro, is a direct recipient of the FTA, Federal Transit Administration financial assistance, receiving capital and operating funding in excess of $1 million. Therefore, necessary for compliance. Brownsville Metro staff recommends approval of its updated, abbreviated Equal Employment Opportunity Program.
Okay. It's an action item.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Keep up.
Next, we have action item number 19, consideration action authorizing Brownsville Metro to award a contract to Hatcher Advertising for transit advertising sales placement services.
Mayor and City Commissioners, as I mentioned to you during a previous bus stop and shelter program presentation a few months back, advertising is a good way to assist transits all over the country. It creates a revenue source to assist in improving enhancements. I'd like to thank Mr. Lopez, Interim City Manager, for approving the evaluation committee, which consists of Maria Solis, Francisco Partida, Cristina Garza, Nathan Burkhart, Esmeralda Veraza, and myself. The purchasing department received one proposal, and that proposal was from our previous contractor, Mr. Achar Bus Ads. The revenue guarantee for this contract is $70,000 or greater per year, as stipulated in your packet. Based on the evaluation committee, the results and purchasing department's procurement analysis and cost analysis, Brownsville Metro recommends to award contract to Achad Advertising for transit advertising sales placement services as stipulated in the contract agreement.
It's an action item. Is there a motion to approve?
Second, motion to approve?
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next, we have action item number 20, consideration and action to encumber up to $206,888 at the end of fiscal year 2018, which will result in the carryover of up to $206,888 from fiscal year 2018 to fiscal year 2019 for beautification projects.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Commissioners. We are seeking your approval to encumber about $206,000 of unspent beautification funds that are not spent as of fiscal year 2018. We plan to roll over those funds to have them available for them next fiscal year.
Motion to approve.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next, we have action item number 21, consideration and action for the city of Brownsville to renew the contract with the town of Rancho Viejo to furnish fire services.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Commission. Tonight, we're asking for approval to renew the contract between the town of Rancho Viejo and City of Brownsville Fire Department for fire services.
Motion?
Motion to approve?
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Yet they still want to leave my UTJ.
Next, we have action item number 22, consideration and action to approve the 2018-2019 non-civil service holiday schedule.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Commissioners. I'm Josh Perez, Assistant HR Director. We're here to just present the fiscal year for 2019 non-civil service holiday schedule, and we're asking for your approval.
Motion to approve.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have action item number 23, consideration and action to accept the donation of a Blue Star market from the West Brownsville Garden Club to be installed at the Veterans Park.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Commission. I'm going to have the West Garden Club present this item since they are so generously offering the donation.
Thank you. Hello, esteemed Mayor and City Commissioners. On behalf of West Brownsville Garden Club and District 6 of Texas Garden Clubs, Inc., it is our privilege to propose and underwrite the purchase and installation of a Blue Star Memorial marker for Veterans Park in Brownsville, Texas. National Garden Clubs, Inc. instituted this marker in 1945 after World War II to serve as, quote, a tribute to the armed forces who have defended the United States of America. This numbered marker would join the more than 3,000 markers planted nationwide. West Brownsville Garden Club is a nonprofit volunteer organization with a 71-year history of serving the gardening, design, environmental, educational, and community interests of Brownsville. Our club and District 6 of Texas Garden Clubs, Inc., representing the Lower Rio Grande Valley, are underwriting the estimated $2,000 cost of the marker project. If possible, we would like to coordinate the dedication with the City of Brownsville and all veterans and scouting organizations and their families on Veterans Day, November 11, 2018. An alternate date would be the day following Pearl Harbor Day, or December 8, 2018. Once ordered, the marker could take from 6 to 8 weeks for delivery, so it'll depend upon that. We appreciate the support of the Parks and Recreation Board Committee for responding to our request at their September meeting, and to Ms. Dameron McGlone and the City Manager for placing this item on today's agenda for you to consider. We humbly ask for your approval of this donation of a Blue Star Memorial marker to honor the armed forces at Veterans Park.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your donation.
That's wonderful.
Now I need a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve, and if at all possible, if we could do it on Veterans Day, that would be excellent.
Wonderful.
We will
But if not, let it be on Pearl Harbor. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Motion, second?
Motion second. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Man, there's no un-Americans
Thank
here.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we
number
have
24.
action item number 24, consideration and action to authorize and execute an interlocal agreement between the City of Brownsville Police Department and Cameron County, Texas regarding the fiscal year 2018 Edward Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Program application number 208-H331-TX-DJ in the amount of $53,452.
Mayor, City Commission, this is in reference to item number 12. This just requires that the City Commission authorize an interlocal agreement between us and Cameron County. That's all it's about.
Motion to approve?
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries.
Next, we have action item number 25, consideration and action to reconsider the City of Brownsville policy on multiple board and commission appointments.
This is an action item.
Mayor, I make a motion to amend the board appointment policy as presented without conflicting with any established ordinances or bylaws and to be placed into effect within 7 days.
That's not the, I'm sorry,
Can you,
that's not what was sent to me.
can you, when you say as presented, you need to show how it's going to be presented. I think she has the.
Would you read it?
Okay, this is for, it's Roman numeral 5, section F, multiple service. Oh,
I'll go ahead and, here we go. Term of office, attendance, and multiple service. Letter F, multiple service. Board and commission members shall not serve concurrently on more than one board or commission. If members at the time of this section's enactment are serving on more than one board or commission, they shall complete their current terms as provided by their appointments unless otherwise removed from a position in accordance with the city ordinance or state law.
But you said effective 7 days?
Yes, sir.
That was not in the motion that we got, that was posted for the agenda item. The effective date of 7 days, that wasn't in that, in what you posted or whatever was given to us.
right, I think they wanted, though, a definite date of when it would be effective.
I understand that,
The
but
language-
it's not what's on the agenda. The effective date of 7 days from now was not on the agenda.
No.
So that would be illegal to pass that.
That was what went.
That was the original
What was,
text.
exactly, that was in the original, since we started this.
That's not what was given to us on Friday. I mean, I was questioning what you were doing as far as when the effective date was, but since there's no effective date, I'm okay. But you can't amend it at this particular day.
Why not?
Because that's what you have the 72-hour notice for.
The open meeting.
Otherwise, you're not on notice as to what's going, isn't that correct?
There was already a motion from a previous meeting, and it was amended, was my understanding, from the September,
I think it was tabled.
No, it was amended.
no, I think that it was amended.
Oh, yeah, it was passed, right?
Yes, and
Okay, so
it
you're
was
trying to
already-
amend that one.
It was already in effect immediately. That's what the motion read. And I believe the
I'm not
minutes
circumventing
reflect
anything,
that.
Mayor, that's just, in other words, what was stated on the addendum on Friday was exactly that, and that's the motion that I read.
Council, I mean, you know, Commissioner, what I'm saying to you is that it did not have an effective date. Whatever I received on Friday did not.
Because the effective date was already in place, Mayor.
It can't be. You got to tell me, I mean, the effective date of the other ordinance would be in place. If you have no effective date on this one, then that was an issue that would have to be confronted. But you can't be changing it at the end of the day. I mean, that's what I'm saying, is that I don't care, but you can't do that. I mean, that's not legal.
No, I understand. The ordinance, the way it was written at the previous meeting or worded, was effective immediately, and there was concerns as far as for board members.
I raised that issue. I said, when is it going to be effective? And it says it's going to be effective immediately, but it was not in what was given to us for this agenda. That's my problem.
And at that exact concern, that's when I raised it, and I moved to 7 days instead of effective immediately.
I never heard the 7 days till just now. And what I'm saying is, I don't have any problem with what you're saying, but it cannot be done legally and while you don't have any notice of it.
The motion, I think, is fine as is because the wording up here, it addresses for those members that are currently serving. So I think as worded, you could still do it without stating.
Wasn't it amended last time? Okay, so this is another amendment, right? So it starts over.
It's more of a clarification, but
Well, no,
yes,
and
you're changing the words.
I appreciate the clarification, but it's what the law says, you've got to have notice of what you're voting on. And what we were voting on was not what was just now stated. It was stated whatever it was that we got in our packet on Friday.
I have a question. Who submitted this?
The
on their-
proposed
for-
language?
Yes, this word says here, what we have in front of us, because this is the first time I see it.
The proposed language
Yes.
was, we were asked to prepare proposed language for the amendment of the policy, and that's what we prepared.
Reconsideration of the policy, because that's what
Yes,
the action item
to
says.
address the concerns that were raised from the previous meeting.
About what to do if somebody's on two boards
Exactly.
and how they get off, or whether they
Exactly,
can
and,
continue their
and
term.
we took the time to review all the bylaws for every city committee and commission and board to make sure that there was nothing that conflicts, that this policy wouldn't conflict with that, but we felt that this language, this proposed language, would cover all the bases
So
for
this
that.
is staff's recommendation, this language?
It was the city attorney's, interim city attorney's recommendation, this language. We did not draft the motion.
Yeah.
Yes.
We
So
just
this-
drafted the language for the policy.
For this policy.
Correct.
You drafted it.
Yes.
I want to make a point of order. I think the reason it's back was because of clerical error on behalf of the city secretary's office putting the wrong amendment. I think that is why it's back here. Is that correct?
That's correct. The policy that was referenced last time was from an older version.
Yes.
So there was question.
So we amended an outdated version, and now this is to amend the one that was the last one.
Correct. This section, Roman numeral 5, subsection F is from the correct, most current
So
version.
basically, we're doing a new amendment to the proper policy that we didn't do last time, right?
Correct, correct.
Okay. So then I think your argument stands.
I'm just saying notice requires, I mean, that's just the law, that's all.
I understand. I mean, I think though the language covers it, it addresses that if there's more than one currently, which I believe we've already discussed that,
We
it
appointed
takes care of
several,
the.
3 at least at the previous 2 meetings ago.
Can I point something out?
Sure.
This is exactly why nobody wants to be our attorney. Legal has stated their opinion. She says we are within our rights, and, you know, you're giving a different opinion.
No.
And, I mean, as a board member, are we a board member or are you attorneys? Because, and I'm sorry, I don't like taking those kinds of stabs.
I'm
But
not stabbing at anybody.
This is exactly why nobody wants to be
But
our
it
city
doesn't
attorney.
mean nobody
I
wants to
think
be a
there's
city.
lots of people
Wait
that
just a
want to
second,
be city
just a
attorney.
second.
Okay, I don't know where you're
What
coming
I'm
up
saying
with
to you
that.
is we have to abide by the language and by the law, and that's what I'm saying. That language that you,
Mayor, this language that was passed, and I know that it was passed at the last meeting, is just being re-referenced, and it's even taking into account what Mr. De Los Santos brought before the board, and all these opinions that have been brought, nobody's getting hurt here.
I'm not saying
And
that.
I mentioned when we approved it last time to be effective immediately, you said no, I agreed to 7 days. So this is, that's exactly why I'm making the motion, that it fall within 7 days.
Okay. It's just not, all I'm saying is that when you receive something, that's what's got to be put on the agenda, that's the law, that's all. And then if you change something while you're here, then, then we have to restart the whole process
The
over.
Open Meetings Act.
Anyway,
Notification.
I'm not here to argue with anybody, I'm just here, what I read is not what I heard, and that's not what we got on Friday, that's all.
I'll make a point of order. Council, what do you think is the best way for us? I mean, I guess from what the intent of redrafting ordinance to actual writing of the ordinance to actually getting it on the agenda and then voting on it, I mean, there's a lot of steps and there's a lot of amendments. What do you think is the best way for a commissioner that wants to do a sort of amendment to any of our policies should be? Should they contact your office directly and say, this is what I want? Can you draft language to this effect? Or, I mean, how do we do this? I mean, I think that's the overarching question.
I think there's proper channels through doing it through the city staff and then addressing it to us directly. And I think to raise the concern first, and then we're given the opportunity to research the issue to see the best way to effectuate that change, whether it's in compliance with city ordinance, bylaws, state law. It's not a quick yes or no answer, or, but I feel that as long as the issue is raised, we can look into it. And in this case, it's worded in a way to where we felt all the concerns that the commissioners had and committee members had would be taken care of.
Okay.
The only point is when it goes into effect, is that, if that's what I...
And I didn't see that language, and that's why I was, questioning what the motive was.
And I don't think that language is not in the proposed policy. The effectiveness, the 7 days, I think that's just how he's wording his motion. And the way it's on the agenda is broad enough to encompass. There's notice of the policy amendment. The proposed language of the policy is stated, but it was more of his wording of the motion, not so much the policy language, sir.
You're not going to, anyway, go ahead. I think, if I may, it has to have track what is in there on the agenda with a 72-hour notice, but you're entitled to your opinion, so.
And the commission is entitled to make the motion as it sees fit.
I'm fine,
yeah.
I'm fine. I'm just saying that you're going to have trouble with it.
Wait, are we gonna get sued again?
I don't think we are.
Did you get a second? Did he get a second?
I haven't moved on
No.
anything.
No,
No,
I
did
think,
Mr. Longoria get a second? He
Are
made a
we
motion.
okay to pursue with Mr. Longoria's motion, or are we okay?
The motion is asking to accept the language as proposed.
Correct.
Okay, and are you adding in there?
To be placed into effect within 7 days.
Okay, that's the current motion. The issue some members are having is the effectiveness of it and whether or not it has, if enough notice was given. I mean, is that my understanding?
yeah, I mean, you would ordinarily, in any ordinance, you have effective on a certain date or effective within whatever, and you didn't have that in what was given to the commission as of Friday. That's all my concern is.
Council, if we were to table this item, is there an opportunity to actually go in, get all the wording reworded, post it within the 72 hours, and then bring it to a vote?
Sure.
Yes.
And let me ask you, so what would the correct motion be? Because I'm not really tabling this item because I'm going to make an amendment to it, you see? But we can't vote it down because then it can't be brought back up. So I want the right language to be able to get the motion tabled, and then we can fix it. We can work with your office. The right intent of Commissioner Longoria and Commissioner Munguia can be put into writing.
I thought it was, but-
Well, that's, I think this is the second time we vote on this. I mean, but I guess we'll keep voting on it till May. I mean,
If the commission chooses to table it so that the proposed language states clearly the effective date that it's going to be implemented, I think the language as is fine with the addition of the effectiveness. And once that is completed, if the commission chooses to go that route, then that would be their
You're
discretion.
gonna prolong it 2 weeks. That's all you're.
Can
What
I
you're
second?
saying
But
is
but
that it's broad enough, the posting is broad enough to allow his motion to incorporate this language and make it effective in 7 days. That's what you're saying, right?
I'm saying the intent is there because it's describing those that are currently serving and how to act with regard to those individuals. So the intent behind it is there. I think it would be better if it was specifically laid out
I move to
so
table.
that there's no misunderstanding.
I move to table this motion, or
Wait,
this.
we have a
I need to
motion over
withdraw.
there. He's got to withdraw.
He has a motion pending, and he needs a second.
That's right.
point of order, I believe that if you have a motion, you can always withdraw your motion. Is that correct, before a second?
Correct.
Robert Rules of Order.
I'll withdraw my motion.
I move to table.
I'll withdraw this second.
I'm sorry, I missed you,
There.
Jessica.
We didn't know you
Yeah,
had
yeah.
seconded.
There was.
I seconded when
Second.
everybody was fighting, so I
Okay.
withdraw my second. So, okay, so you made a motion.
I made a motion to table.
And With that
And work.
motion, would that be enough to correct the language and get the true intention and then memorialize? And if we can get something to everybody at least a week in advance, and that way we're not running into these issues.
Yes, if
The
there-
language that needs clarification is not this language, it's the addition of the effective date is it's what it is, right?
That's the concern I'm seeing here,
Yeah.
and that will be addressed if that's what the commission is asking. And if there can be a definite date to where we can have it to everyone with sufficient time, I'd appreciate that, so everybody's on the same
And
page.
I will tell you, council, that is what was instructed city management last time around, because we had this issue. And then when they sent us that email that, oh, we made a mistake, so now we're back here again, and now it's gonna be tabled again. So I mean, you see, it's a little game, so that's why I really want to be able to get all this language correctly, so I mean, we can actually take votes on stuff.
I think it's a matter of doing it properly, not playing a game.
Okay. You have a table. Is there a
Move to
second?
table.
Yeah.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? You want to take a roll call?
Yes, may we have a, take roll?
I'll go to nay.
Nay?
Nay.
I'll vote aye to table it.
Okay, so you got 4
To it.
votes. It carries. Thank you. Is there a motion?
Before we end this meeting, I want to read a quote to the commission. It's very important. One of the things that I find that I see a lot of the struggle with this and that is pride versus humility. And I want to read one of my favorite quotes, that pride is concerned with who is right. Humility is concerned with what is right. And that's by Ezra Taft Benson. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.